Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. And today we're going to be talking about the big welterweight championship bout that's taking place in Madison Square Garden in New York. A place that's on my bucket list, definitely, and I think every boxing fan will agree. When Amir King Khan, the UK star, takes on the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, or the pound for pound #2 fighter in the world, depending on who you talk to. Some say Vasyl Lomachenko is a man, but others say the best fighter in the world right now is Terence Bud Crawford, who's going to be defending his WBO World Welterweight title against Khan. Now, there's been a lot of experts that were polled on this, and not one is, but I can find, is picking Khan to win this. Now, I've got to say, a lot of people like to hate on Amir Khan, but I have a lot of respect for the guy. I'm actually a big Khan fan. I like the guy. And the reason why I say so is he's always looking to go for it, to reach for a brass ring, to secure his legacy. He's always going for the biggest challenges, and he's never in a bad fight. Yes, he hasn't got the greatest chin. He's been stopped in 3 of his 4 losses, but he takes the big risks. And now people are complaining, why is he not fighting Kell Brook? That's a fight everybody wants to see in the UK. I would like to see it as well. But there's much more to be gained from beating Terence Crawford than he can gain by beating Kell Brook. Crawford has got a world title, and Crawford is the #1 or #2 pound for pound fighter in the world. And beating Crawford, if he can pull off this huge upset, it will probably punch his ticket to the International Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota. Now, if we look at Khan's career, I mean, the first hiccup was when he got stopped by a journeyman Breeder Prescott way back before he was even a world champion in the first round. He got up from that, dusted himself off. He won the WBA World Super Lightweight Championship from Andrei Kotelnik. He defended that quite a couple of times, and he also picked up the IBF belt by stopping Zab Judah. Recorded a good victory over Paulie Malignaggi. And then things started going wrong for him all of a sudden. He lost a very close split decision to Lamont Peterson, and Peterson tested positive for a substance, testosterone pill of some kind afterwards. And then in his next fight, he got stopped by WBC champion Danny Garcia. So he resurrected himself, and he had a very good run at welterweight. He had some good wins on his record. He beat Devon Alexander, who's a very tricky southpaw, Luis Colazo, Chris Algieri, Julio Diaz, all former champions. And then I expected him to go for a welterweight world title, and instead he jumped 2 weight divisions up and took on WBC middleweight champion at the time, Canelo Alvarez, and the outcome was predictable. He was boxing nicely, boxed well, and then suddenly, I think it was a 6th round, Alvarez let rip with a straight right and knocked Khan stone cold out. Khan stayed out of the game for almost 2 years, and then he came back last year with 2 wins. One was a quick first round blitz of Paulo Greco. All that showed us is that his speed and the power that he had is still there. And then in his last fight, he dropped Sammy Vargas in the 2nd round. Then Vargas dropped him with a straight right, and then even though Khan dropped Vargas again in the 3rd round, he had to settle for a decision win. Now, Khan, he's a speedster. His strength is his brilliant hand speed. I think at welterweight, he's a respectable but not devastating puncher. He put Vargas down, but he couldn't take him out. And Vargas, when he's at the elite level, he gets stopped by guys like Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. So that doesn't augur very well from Khan. What I could see from that fight is that the hand speed and the speed of foot and the offensive arsenal is still there, but you could also see that chins don't get better as time goes by. You hit him flush, you hurt him, that vulnerability was there. And now he's fighting Terence Crawford, who's hardly put a foot wrong in his undefeated career. He's been lightweight champion. He had a Ring Magazine championship at lightweight. He unified the entire super lightweight or junior welterweight division, and he recorded some very good wins. Beat guys like Ray Beltran, never easy enough for anybody. Beat Ricky Burns in his backyard in Scotland to win his first world title. Won an entertaining shootout with Yuriorkis Gamboa. At junior welterweight, he recorded wins over Victor Postol, completely destroyed Julius Ndongo. And then last year he moved up to welterweight, got the WBO title by stopping Jeff Horn in 9 rounds. And he defended that against Jose Benavides. His big problem is he is with top rank Bob Arum and all the other elite welterweights, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter and Errol Spence Jr. are all with the premier boxing champions of Al Heyman. And these guys don't like to do business. So that's why this fight is happening. They went for the most recognizable name out there that's not under the PBC banner, and that's Amir Khan. We all want to see Crawford against Spence, but instead we get Khan. Now, what is going to happen? Now, for Khan to win this fight, it's very simple. He can't do it in a slugging match. He has to use his speed and he has to box, use his jab. But Crawford is a guy who mostly fights in the southpaw stance, but he tends to start his fights in the orthodox stance. So I think from the get-go, Amir Khan must use that classic reply to a southpaw, use those straight right hands in the beginning to unsettle Crawford. But he's going to have to box, and he's going to have to box perfectly and stay out of trouble. So can he do that? If I look at the Sammy Vargas fight, he was cruising along nicely, and then when Vargas hit him with that right hand shot, it's as if Khan, you know, sometimes you're driving a car, like I sometimes do, and you forget that you're driving, and before you know it, you ran a red robot or didn't stop at the stop street. And I think that sort of glitch of concentration is something that Amir Khan is starting to have, you know. He just loses concentration for a second, starts coasting, and then the guy nails him. And I think that is a big problem for Khan going into this fight. Now, if you look at Terence Crawford, he is ambidextrous. He can fight equally well in the southpaw or the orthodox position. He's a counter puncher, and he has very good power. I won't say he's a one and done hitter, but when he hurts you, he's on you, he finishes well. So I think Crawford is more comfortable sort of laying back and letting the other guy come to him. So Khan's going to have to be on his bicycle and make Crawford come to him rather. And another thing that I saw now is I've been a Benavides fight. If you really bang Crawford in the body, he doesn't like it very much. So when he's in position for those shots, Khan should throw him. So he's got a box, he's got to go to the body and try and take Crawford out of his game. Now, Crawford just has to do what he usually does. He is in turn also going to have to move that body to slow down Khan. And I think he must just make Khan a little bit uncomfortable, box the usual fight. At some point, the opportunity is going to come, and he's going to nail Khan, and then he's going to have to finish him. Now, Crawford did have some trouble with Yuriorkis Gamboa, but that was a long time ago. Gamboa is also a speedster like Khan. So I can see Khan's speed giving Crawford a little bit of problems early on. I can see Khan having a moment or two and forcing Crawford to set and reset. But I think at a certain point in time, Crawford is going to nail Khan, and he's a good finisher, and I don't think Khan will be able to get through being hurt and fight back like he did against Samuel Vargas. There's worlds removed between Samuel Vargas and Terence Crawford. So I have to stick my neck out here. I think somewhere around the 6th round, 7th round, I think not maybe as late as some of the other pundits are picking Crawford to pull this one out, but I think somewhere around that time Crawford is going to nail Khan, and that will be the end of Amir Khan. So I'm going with Crawford by a 6th round TKO. I think Khan will make it interesting. I'm going to be rooting for Khan a little bit, because what a victory it will be. But I think he's the victim of his own ambition here. I think it was a mistake taking on Canelo Alvarez. A fight like that, a knockout loss like that's not good for any fighter. I think it was one step too far. I wish that he had taken on somebody like Crawford before he fought Alvarez, when he had that nice run going at welterweight with Devin Alexander, not Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri and Luis Colazo victories. That Khan against Crawford to me would have been a whole different kettle of fish. But I don't think he's quite the same after the loss to Canelo Alvarez. I may be wrong. Maybe the Vargas fight is just what was needed to shake off the ring rust, and it will be a much elevated Khan in the ring on Saturday night. But I've got to go with facts before me. and Terence Crawford is on a roll. It's going to take a hell of a fighter to beat him. So my pick here is Crawford. If you guys like the video, please subscribe. You can also follow my blogs at www.couchpotatofightguru.blogspot.com. I'm also a correspondent for Ring Magazine, the Bible of Boxing. I'm in a monthly department there called World Beat, keeping the South African scene up to date. So if you are in the States or overseas where the Ring Magazine is readily available on the newsstands, please buy the magazine, please subscribe. If you're sitting here in South Africa, perhaps an easier option is to subscribe to the digital edition that you can just download, very good value at $1.99. So that's it from me. Until we see each other again, enjoy the fight. And like Amir Khan, remember to keep those hands up.